everybody, Shadrach here, and today I'm bringing you a Platinum solo, and this solo takes place on Firebase Ghost Hazard. The enemy I chose is Cerberus, and I chose the Asari Valkyrie Sentinel to do the solo with. Now, this is my first solo against Cerberus, so I wanted it to be a bit of a special map. I feel that Firebase Ghost Hazard is a very, very challenging map. The acid rain it really puts a hindrance on your shield regen. It seemed to me that every time my shields were broken and they needed to recharge, that rain basically reset the recharge rate. So it was a real challenge, basically trying to keep my shields up in the rain. I had to be really careful. Definitely a very interesting map to play. I chose the Asari Valkyrie because I felt there's a lot of close quarter situations. Insta kills from Phantoms was definitely something I had to watch out for. So Annihilation Field, I thought, would really help out with those close quarter situations. Plus the Dragoons, they really get in close. Definitely Cerberus is a different style of play for solos. Much more fast paced, I felt. I felt that I didn't really have as much control over the pace of the fight. Really quickly here about my loadout. I chose the Cyclonic 4 because extra barriers can never be bad. I chose the Pistol Ray Lamp 3 because I felt that probably about 90% of the work I was doing was with my Acolyte. I chose the Hurricane to basically deal with bosses, the Banshees and the Atlases and the Primes. And I also chose the Incinerate rounds to prime enemies. I'm priming with the Annihilation Field and I'm priming with Incinerate from the Incinerate rounds 4. And so I'm able to detonate that with my Warp. So Warp is pretty much primarily a detonator for me. So let's talk a bit about my strategy here. So I'm starting out at this point of the map. It's basically the opposite end of the map from where the LZ is. And this is a very common place where people like to camp out. So starting out here, I make sure I got my Annihilation Field going at all times. That gives me a lot faster movement speed. It also refills my barriers whenever enemies get close that have barriers that I can take from. So I'm basically just using my Acolyte, trying to chip down the wave budget as much as possible before I have to move. Right when I was about to get in trouble there, I book out. And if you notice, one Acolyte shot, almost two Acolyte shots, and one Warp, and Phantoms are done. So I don't even know how many Phantoms I must have killed in this match. It felt like 200 or so. But probably not quite 200. I'm probably exaggerating a bit there. But there was definitely a lot of Phantoms. You really got to watch out with Cerberus. That insta-kill factor is always there. They're always in your face. They're always flanking. They're always moving fast. So you have to be very, very alert. Constantly watching your flank, constantly just glance over. It doesn't take much to check your flank. See, like really quick, you can just look over really quick, turn back, and deal with whatever's in front of you. Basically, I rotate from, oh man, there must be about 6 places on this map that I turn back. Did a lot of backpedaling. I know it's kind of dangerous to backpedal, but this map it's a fairly big map, and as long as you stay around the outside and you kind of keep a conscious eye on your flank, you can backpedal pretty comfortably. So I really wouldn't recommend backpedaling with a character that can't evade. The Krogans and those, I feel that they're a little bit better to move from cover to cover than turn around. That way you can just strafe behind cover if you have a warp Banshee ball coming in at you or anything like that, any kind of incoming Atlas missile or anything like that. So basically, I've rotated almost 180 degrees around the map. I'm coming up on this next section here, and this is wave 1, so the wave budget isn't very big, so I don't think I make it quite to the ladder, but this is definitely a point right here where I like to stop and shoot at. They're all in the open, and I have this little corner that I can shoot off of with decent cover. You just have to be careful because enemies do come around the corner fairly quickly, but the Annihilation Field is really good at warning me when that happens. If you watch your Annihilation Field, you can actually see it actually kind of is drawn toward the enemy, and you can see the animation pull away from your body towards the enemy when they get close. So it's a good tell to let you know when enemies are near, if they're around a wall or the ladder, for example. That's definitely something I use to let me know if the ladder was safe to climb up or not. If they're sitting there waiting at the top of the ladder, you'll notice the animation from the Annihilation Field pull up towards the top of the ladder. So I go through this kitchen here, and this is the last real straightaway that I have to basically dictate whether or not it's safe to go up the ladder or not. So one thing that you want to watch out for, especially going clockwise around the map when it comes to that ladder, is banshees. If a banshee is close to you and you climb that ladder, she's going to teleport to the top of the ladder and she's going to be there waiting for a quick insta kill. So if you know banshees are on your tail, you want to get there like definitely a little bit sooner than later. You want to create a little bit of distance between them, go to that ladder so that way they don't have enough time to get there and take you out when you get up to the top. If you take enough time on the far side of the map by the LZ, if you hang out there long enough, it should pull enemies far enough away from the ladder for when you get down to that part, the base of the ladder, there won't be anyone up top waiting for you. So that is my rhyme and my rhythm for why I go clockwise around the map. I know a lot of you would feel that it's kind of counterintuitive to go that way because of the ladder. At least I've heard a couple people tell me that. I just feel that moving clockwise around the map for this solo, it just felt so right. The way that the map is shaped, I was able to corner shoot. Every time I turn around, I have a nice corner to shoot off of. I am shooting off of my right shoulder, so it does kind of create a situation where you need that kind of cover to use to your advantage. So as you notice, the Dragoons, this is the Dragoon round. They're very aggressive. They're always pushing me, always pushing me. I really don't have a lot of time to hang out in one particular area. If I do, then I'm going to get overwhelmed, and it's going to be big problems for me. It's going to cause resources, which I don't have a lot of. So as you can see, the Dragoons, man, they're just on you constantly. It seems like every time you kill one, there's another one right back with the other two. And here I am again. I've almost done a full rotation around the map. This is the one place right here. I like to hang out here a little bit, just like I said, because I know it's going to clear that ladder out up there. I know that there's going to be no enemies at this point kind of hanging out at that point of the map. So I'm going to hang out here as long as I can. Try not to, get flanked. As you can see, I almost got flanked there. One thing you do got to watch out definitely with Cerberus is those turrets. They're very dangerous. It doesn't take much from a turret to drop you. So what I like to do with the turrets and how I basically deal with them in this game, as you'll soon see, is I hit them with an Acolyte shot, and if they're close enough to where I can hit them with a warp bomb afterwards, they are primed for a fire explosion, and that's pretty much all it takes to take them out. At least with the setup that I have here, is one Acolyte shot and then a warp bomb. And I did spec warp for detonate because I am using it to detonate, so it gives me a bigger detonation for the fire explosions and for the biotic explosions that I'm triggering from my annihilation field. And as you see right there, my annihilation field just finished off that Phantom. It really helped a lot. I really like this character for dealing with Cerberus. I felt that it felt very natural for me. So I'm cleaning up the rest of the wave here. It looks like we just have probably about 2 or 3 enemies left on the board, and that will end wave 2. And let's see here. Oh, there we go. The Atlas. That's right. So, like I said, for the bosses, using my Acolyte to strip down their barriers or their shields, and then I instantly switched to my Hurricane. Basically, with a Hurricane, between reloading, I'm throwing a warp bomb just to keep that DOT going. It seems to do really well with incendiary ammo, so I've heard from a lot of people that it's a very overpowered combination. It definitely helped out a lot for me here anyways. I definitely feel incendiary ammo seems to be the best ammo out there. At least I find myself using it over top of other ammos. Some situations I feel that warp is a little more favorable, but as long as the weapon has some kind of armor-piercing effect, I can definitely say that Incinerate and Warp is my favorite. If the weapon is lacking in armor-piercing, then I would go with AP rounds, but like I said, for the most part, it's all about the Incinerate ammo and the Warp ammo for me. Okay, so right here, I got a hack right on my starting point, actually. It's very lucky. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to hang out here as long as I can, get as much time on the hack as possible. As you can see, not doing too bad. Annihilation Field just really helps with hacking, and escorts especially. I love Annihilation Field with escorts. Whenever bombers or any kind of enemy gets on you, it's just amazing what the Annihilation Field can do for your shields and your barriers, and keeping them recharged and just keeping you alive and well. So it's getting a little heavy, so I'm going to stick to my rotation here. I'm going to pull off to the left here, and I'm just going to wait a little while wait for some enemies to pull in tight to me, and then I'm just going to rotate up to the next point here. As you can see, we had a couple atlases right on the hack, so I'm going to want to take my time on this rotation. I want to keep moving as slowly as possible, actually. So anything that's really fast, like the brutes, the phantoms, anything that's on my case that I know is going to be pushing me out of the position I want to be in faster than I want to be pushed, I'm going to try and kill. So the brutes, especially the phantoms, I just need to, if I can kill like 1 or 2 waves of them between every position, that should buy me enough time to pull those atlases out of the hack zone. So I'm just going to keep moving around the map. I'm pretty much on the other side now. If I can take this brute out here, then it will be good for me. He'll probably get to me one more time after I kill him, though, before I rotate back to the hack. Yeah, there is another one right there on the left. So I'm going to run over here to the left, grab ammo. As you can see, I make a little dash there. I run straight to the ammo, and then I dash right. That's just in case there's a Ravager or an Atlas or anything that's going to be shooting at me. I like to do that little evade because I am in the open for quite some time there. So I feel pretty confident that the Atlas is pulled far enough away from the hack that I can get on the hack and finish it off here. So I'm going to go ahead and go up the ladder here and just deal with it. Whatever kind of small enemies are going to come my way. See, I'm 3/4 of the way done with the hack. It looks like I just have 1 phantom here. And I'm sure I'm going to get a little bit more opposition here before the hack is finished, but looks like I'm doing just fine. And there we go, it's complete. So now all I have to do is wait for the money to show. There's the credits, and all I have to do is just finish cleaning up the wave here, and I'm on to wave 4. So I'm just going to hang out here as long as I can, and just slowly move around the map and take the enemies out one by one until I finish the wave up. Got a couple of brutes over there on the hack, where the hack was anyways. So a big way that I'm dealing with these brutes and the Ravagers and any enemy that starts off with just armor is I'll give them a pop with the Acolyte, which will prime them with Incinerate effect, and then I'll hit them with Warp, which will detonate a fire explosion. If that's not enough, then like you just saw there with the brute came in pretty close quarters to me, so I was able to prime him with my Annihilation Field for a biotic explosion. And as you see right there, I'm doing the same thing there. I switched to my Hurricane and getting fire explosion. I guess in some circumstances there I'm just using my Hurricane. I guess it's a little impractical to change back and forth sometimes, so I'll just I'll just leave my Hurricane out and just prime them with the Hurricane. But for the most part, on average, I was priming with, or I did prime with the Acolyte and then detonate with a fire explosion, and then switch to my Hurricane to finish them off. As you can see, I got an Atlas here. I'm just still cleaning up the wave. And so, got a couple small fries running around here. We got a Phantom here, so I'm just going to give her a couple pops with the Acolyte, and she's done and over with. And I'm just going to wait here for this Atlas to poke itself out, and just keep popping it with the Acolyte, get those shields down. And now I got the shields down, hit it with the Warp Bomb, giving a nice little fire explosion, and I can just wear it down with my Hurricane. The Hurricane is amazing, high DPS. It was just amazing to me how fast I was able to cut down a lot of these bosses throughout this game. I can definitely say that the weapon choices that I have here really turned out well for this solo. I think there's pretty much 3 things you really want to worry about when you choose a weapon loadout. The first is armor. You have a way of dealing with armor. Second is shields and barriers. And then third is phantoms. So pretty much, you know, I got my Hurricane, that's my armor. I got my Acolyte, that's my shields and barriers. I believe the Acolyte has a 5-time damage multiplier to shields and barriers. So that's why, if you haven't noticed, it's so effective against barriers and shields. And then as far as dealing with the Phantoms go, that would be my Annihilation Field with my Acolyte. Priming them with Incinerate and then using Warp to detonate, or priming them with my Annihilation Field and then detonating the Biotic Explosion. So I'm going to go run back to my starting position here. I just completed wave 3. This is wave 4, and I got 3 waves survived. And wave 4 is the Nemesis round, I believe. Lots of Nemesis on this round. Nemesis usually don't pose too much of a threat, but man, they do a lot of damage if you sit still long enough and you let them hit you. A big challenge to this round also is, as you can see, the Banshee that's closing in on me. She's definitely going to push the pace of this fight. Got to really watch out. I want to keep my distance from her. One thing that playing against Cerberus, I can't say it enough, you got to watch your range. If you get too close to the Phantoms, you get too close to the Banshees, anything like that, it's game over. As you can see, there's two Nemesis. There's a third one right there. I'm not even halfway around the map, and I've already killed 3 Nemesis. Phantoms, I don't really see too many on this match, on this particular round. I think that there is a couple out there, though. I don't remember exactly. A big strategy for me was definitely keeping the Banshees at bay. I think actually I kill them actually before they push me too far. I definitely noticed that a couple of times while I was doing this solo, I didn't even notice that there was a Banshee on the board. I don't know if it's the size of the map or what, or if I just was able to avoid them altogether and not really get them riled up. So I would recommend, if you don't have a Banshee following you around everywhere you go, but you know there's a Banshee on the map, definitely keep an eye open for her. But if you see her and she's kind of doing her own thing and she's kind of across map, just let her be. You definitely want to wait till the end of the round if you can, because let's see, you get about 100 points towards the wave budget by killing a Banshee. That's like basically killing like 2 pyros or something, right? And we definitely know that the amount of effort it takes to kill a Banshee greatly exceeds how much it takes to kill 2 pyros or 2 engineers at that. You see, I can hit an engineer with an acolyte shot and then basically finish it with a warp bomb. It's a lot of effort to kill the Banshees for how much you get out of them. I think at this point of the game, I must be maybe 30% done with the wave budget, and I've almost made a complete lap here. So one thing I want to point out right now is I'm getting close to the ladder. So if I can't stop this Banshee, I need to make a break for that ladder and get to it soon before that Banshee has a chance to be close enough to the ladder to teleport up it and to take me out once I get to the top. So I think I opted for actually killing this Banshee. That Hurricane is so good. Like, it is amazing to me how good that Hurricane is. I think one of the greater differences between having a Hurricane 1 and a Hurricane 10, see, that was really dangerous there. That Banshee spawned right at the top of the ladder after I killed her. That could have been game over for me. Probably should have left her alone and just went up on the ladder and dealt with her on one of these other line of sights here. Like I was saying though, before I get off subject, I think one of the greatest differences between the Hurricane 1 and the Hurricane 10 is just weight. I remember when we were doing the weekend challenges and we were getting all these combination weapons, the Hurricane 1 was so good, and then having the Hurricane 3 was just so good. I couldn't even imagine what it was like to have a 10, but I really don't notice a huge difference between the 3 and the 10. Well, I can definitely say that if you're just starting this game out, or if you have a low-level Hurricane, don't take it for granted. It is an amazing weapon, even at the lower levels. I would definitely recommend the stability dampener on it, though. That really makes a big difference. And then the armor-piercing mod, I believe it's the high-velocity barrel. Those are 2 great attachments for that weapon. If you're not using the high-velocity barrel, I definitely would recommend using armor-piercing rounds with it, because it definitely needs that. I think all the SMGs, when they added that mod, that was a great addition. Both the stability mod and the high velocity barrel were great additions to the SMG. It was a playing field equalizer, that's for sure. I think that it was all about snipers at the beginning. Then it was all about the assault rifles, and then the shotguns. And I really like these weapon mods. I think that it's great. Even the sniper weapon mod, the high velocity barrel, those were all very necessary to make a lot of these weapons more balanced, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So the addition to all these weapon mods that BioWare did was definitely one of the better things that BioWare did for this game. So it looks like I'm cleaning up the wave here. I don't know how many enemies we got left here, but I know I'm really close to finishing up the wave budget. As you notice, I think a big fear that a lot of people have playing against Cerberus and soloing Cerberus is the turrets. The sentry turrets are just so unforgiving, but as long as you're careful, as long as you check before you expose yourself while rotating around the map. I think that they're not as bad or big of a deal as they seem. A lot of times, what I'll do is I'll just give them like a quick little shot, and then I'll just leave them alone. And I believe that if you do damage to them and there's no engineer to repair the damage you do to the turret, they have about a 30-second shelf life before they pop. So if it's a turret that you kind of feel really vulnerable trying to take out, just try and give it like a warp bomb or a throw bomb, or just put like 1 or 2 rounds into it. Looks like I'm actually not as close to the end of the wave as I thought, so I'm just going to continue rotating around the map here on my little natural path here. But like I said, the turrets, they're really not as bad as they seem. A lot of times I'll just run right past them, and if you don't run into cover and you keep moving fast enough, they pretty much don't even have the time it takes to lock on to you. I find most of the times I've been downed by a turret is when I'm standing still. So if you see a turret and it's there, just go. Don't hesitate, don't freeze up, just go. Run past it, keep on going. Try and get some cover, and just give it a quick round or two and move on your way. 30 seconds later, it should be gone. Like I said, unless there's an engineer there to repair it, it will self-destruct pretty quickly. Okay, so this has to be the last enemy here. Okay, yeah, there it is. There we go. That's the last enemy. So I'm just going to give him a quick pop with the Acolyte, hopefully prime him for a fire explosion, and I'll switch over to my Hurricane. And if you notice there, I'm just giving little small pulses, little small, I guess you call it, I'm just feathering the trigger. And from my experience, I could be wrong, but it sure feels like it's a lot more accurate at medium to long range if I just feather the trigger a bit. So close range, I definitely go full auto. When I remember to, I definitely feather the trigger at medium to long range, and it definitely feels like I'm getting more bang for my buck when I do that. So it might be something you might want to try. It definitely feels like that with a lot of the SMGs, at least the ones that have a little more recoil. I feel like I'm getting a tighter bullet spread and I'm painting less of a target around the enemy, and I'm actually hitting the enemy. So what I really like to start doing with these videos is I really can't talk about nothing for a very, very long period of time. So I mean, there's only so much I can really explain about my strategy, and so many things I can talk about as far as this particular solo goes. So once I'm done describing the base strategy, and I'm done talking about the loadout, and done talking about my build a bit, and all those little ins and outs of the solo, I'm going to fast forward to the objective rounds and to different points of interest, and just kind of talk briefly about those different points of interest and different things that I feel that might apply to the solo and might apply to you guys, and things you might be interested in. So my first jump will be to Wave 6. I'm going to try and figure out how to put tabs and maybe bookmark it through YouTube, through the videos, so that way you guys can just like quickly access the different points of interest that I'm talking about and whatnot. But we'll see how that goes. If I can't figure it out for this video, then I'll definitely try harder for next video. So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward up to Wave 6 at the beginning, and I'm going to explain how I do the objective, and just hopefully give you guys some tips and tricks. Alright, there we go. Alright, so I'll see you guys at Wave 6. Alright, that's the end of wave 5, and I got 5 waves survived, and I'm going good. Everything's on the up and up here, and we got objects recovered. So it looks like I got lucky again. I'm really surprised. I had a hack that was basically right at my starting point, and I just got an object right at my starting point. It is on the complete opposite side of the map though. So normally what I would have done here is, if the object was to be recovered somewhere further away from where I was, I would probably hang out there and pull the enemies towards where I was. So this objective, I like to say it kind of worked in my favor, but I guess we'll see how the LZ is when I bring this package in. It looks pretty clear so far. I'm kind of looking out the window here, so I'm just going to keep on strafing. A lot of you are probably thinking, well, why aren't you doing the little dash that really makes it a lot faster to bring the device in? Well, there's a lot of cover to get hung up on. I find that the only time that dash really works well for me is on long straightaways. Anytime I have to go through cover or I have to be cautious, I find that I usually mess up and take cover somewhere. I really don't think that it was appropriate for that moment in time anyways. So that explains that, and for some reason there is a rocket on my back again. I don't know what is up with that, but hopefully we'll take care of that here in just a little bit. So the next object is on the other side of the map, so I'm kind of taking my time here. I'm killing some of the smaller, faster enemies, which should hopefully allow enough time for the bigger, slower enemies to kind of catch up and get to the side of the board. Because every time I kill a small enemy, he's just going to spawn back, and if they're fast, they're just going to be right back in my face again. So I like to try and time it so that way a lot of the bigger, slower enemies can make it to the end of the map that I'm trying to pull all the enemies towards. So basically, I felt pretty confident where the enemies were, so I'm going to grab some ammo, and I'm going to grab the object and make sure my annihilation field is on here. So I'm just going to refresh it so that way it's good to go all the way to the LZ. And I'm just going to keep on strafing sideways here because it is a lot faster to move sideways than forwards. And I can keep an eye on where all the enemies are. So it's kind of dangerous right here. I see an Atlas right there. So I'm kind of I'm taking a little bit of a risk here by popping my head out. But no guts, no glory, right? So I took a little Atlas missile there to the dome, but got the object in. Small price to pay because my shields will just come right back. And now it's just a matter of cleaning up. One thing I like to keep in mind when I'm cleaning up on objective waves is there's only 8 enemies on the board at a time. So as long as you kind of keep a mental note, so right there, that will be 1. And there's 2. So I know I got both bombers. Now I got 6 enemies left on the board. And just by keeping this mental note, it just kind of helps me know, whether or not I really need to worry about my flank as much as I should. Or, just little things like that. So here's 2 more. After I take care of these 2 guys right here, the hunters, that will put me down to 4 enemies. I know there's 2 Atlases on the board, and I'm assuming there's probably 2 Phantoms. And actually I'm wrong. There's 2 Atlases and there is 2 Guardians. So once I take these Guardians out, all I have left is the 2 Atlases, which gives me a grand total of 8. Just small little things like that. Paying attention to the wave budget. Paying attention to how many enemies are left on the board after cleaning up. It's just intel, right? Any amount of intel is good. It gives you an advantage on the battlefield if you know the ins and outs, if you know where the enemies are, that's why I recommend the guest scanner a lot, because it gives you enemy position. It really helps with knowing where to move, when to move, and just good map awareness, right? It definitely contributes to having good map awareness. So I'm down to 2 enemies. I got these Atlases left, and so all I have to do is clean them up, and mission 6 is successful. So I'm going to move on to the next point of interest, which is mission 8. So I'll see you guys there.
Left side. Enemy neutralized.
Enemy is regrouping. Time to reload. Enemies approaching.
Understood. Spotted them. Watch it.
So we're here on wave 8, and if you haven't noticed already, it's raining. And this is no ordinary rain. If you haven't played this map before, this is acid rain, and it is really, really hard on your shields and your barriers. So it definitely poses a new and unique challenge to approaching this map. I have to... There's a lot of overhead cover, so if you notice an area that's dry, that's probably not a bad area to turn around and deal with some of the oncoming enemies. So I'm sticking to my same rotation. I'm just hanging out inside a little bit longer than I'd like on a lot of these places because of the acid rain. So you really have to be careful when you move out to the rain. It's good to have your shields back, but you know, you got to improvise, you got to move sometimes. If the enemy's pushing you out of your location, you just got to go sometimes. So I'm pretty sure that I'm playing flawless up until this point. And I really think that the acid rain played a bit of a role in why I messed up and why I didn't rotate as fast as I should have. I think I get down right here. Oh no, I don't. I make it. But it is very close. Anyways, I know I get down here pretty soon, or I have to use the survival ops or something along those lines. So the acid rain definitely added a very difficult element to this this solo. And I'm halfway across the map here. This is definitely the danger zone. Yeah, and there it goes right there. I'm down. We like to refer to this area as the elephant graveyard. It's I think it's kind of instinctive for a lot of people to kind of camp there when they first play this map, but it is not a good place to camp. I would not recommend it at all. You're at an extreme disadvantage. I think any kind of military tactics or any kind of common sense actually tells you that you don't want to be at an elevational disadvantage. So yeah, that's what happened to me right there. The prime clipped me as I was running across the elephant graveyard, I guess we'll call it. So next time I go along that way, I'm going to make sure that that prime is not in that location when I run across the elephant graveyard. Definitely, every time you do a platinum solo on a map, you learn little new elements, new little tricks and tips to the map. So as you notice, I got to that that ladder before any enemies had a chance to basically go up the stairs to the right, or to clip me in the back as I climbed the ladder, because it's really a bad place. It can be a very, very nasty thing if you get clipped going up a ladder, because then you basically drop, you have to meta gel. The enemy has a beeline sight on you, and as soon as you gel, you're up with health, but you have no shield gate. So there you go, I'm down again. Yeah, this was a pretty ugly round for me. I started moving and rotating faster than I would have liked to. Like I said, the acid rain really, really throws a monkey wrench in your program. The trouble that I experienced on wave 8 was really, I wasn't ready for it. It was definitely a surprise to me. I had a couple previous attempts on this map. I made it to extraction once, and I made it to wave 10 on another time. And targets on wave 10 actually stopped me previously, and I used my last meta gel on extraction. It was right at the beginning of extraction. As you can see, I'm not rotating when I should be. I'm kind of a little sloppy. I feel a bit flustered here. But I composed myself. I think right around here I started to compose myself. I started to relax a bit and not get overwhelmed by the speed of the match that basically I've been forced into because of the rain. So you know, composing yourself, keeping a good head on your shoulders definitely goes a long way in platinum solos. It actually goes all the way. It makes all the difference. I can't tell you, well, not a lot, but I've definitely had my share of platinum solos that I failed just because I get a little flustered. I get a little upset with myself. See right there, I have the prime inside on the right with the Atlas, so I knew it was safe to go through the graveyard there. So I definitely planned that out a bit in my head when I did it. I wanted to make sure that the Atlas and the prime especially, didn't have a line of sight on me when I crossed that little field there. So I'm going to hang out here for a little bit, get my wave budget down a bit. I got the prime across the way, and I got the Atlas. The prime right now at this point is my main concern, because if I poke my head out to try to deal with the Atlas, then I'm going to get knocked out by the prime. But here comes the Atlas. The Atlas is now my main priority. So I basically stripped the Atlas's shields all the way down. He's all the way down to armor now, so I'm switching to my Hurricane like I discussed earlier. And I'm just going to basically wear him down. The beauty about Atlases is indoors, they just take up the whole door. Like every enemy on the board is stuck behind him right now, and until he moves up a little bit more, then there's really nothing they can do. I've gotten really good nukes that way. I've actually made it a point, I really don't seek out spawn nukes. I just wait for the opportunity to happen and then I take it. The Prime is my last enemy on the board right now for Wave 8. And so I'm just going to kind of hang out here for a little bit and wear him down little by little. Trying to time his shots. I know that he has, I think, 3 pulses from his little cannon or whatever you want to call it, and then he pauses. So I'm basically popping out between his shots and throwing warp bombs and then unloading my clip from my hurricane. So here we are, we're at the beginning of Wave 9. I think it's still raining out. Love the rain, let me tell you guys, I really do. I'm just being a little sarcastic here, but anyways. So Wave 9 is beginning, and I got an Atlas coming right down the middle. And like I said, the beauty about Atlases is they jam up the whole door and all the enemies are behind them. I was saying about how I don't like to chase down and nuke spawns. I like to let the enemies kind of group up, and when the opportunity knocks, I'll pull out a rocket and use it. I've had a couple, I'd say about 3 platinum solos over this last month that were just so good. They went so well. And everyone always says, oh, well, you know, use 2 nukes on Wave 8 or use 2 nukes on this wave, you know, and it'll help you with your wave budget, which is very true. But what ended up happening for me is I ended up having a couple enemies behind me as I was chasing down the spawn. And then I nuked the spawn, and then the spawn split. So I had a couple enemies behind me, then I split the spawn, and I ended up having enemies on my left flank, on my right flank, and straight in front of me. So I basically created a scenario where I got myself locked in and pinched, and yeah, it ended, needless to say, it ended a couple of my solos that I was doing very well on that I should have successfully fully extracted on, but ended up not fully extracted because just got a little overzealous with the rockets trying to chase down spawns. I'm not saying that it can't be done successfully, I'm just saying that it doesn't really work for me and I don't really like spawn nuking. So right here, this is very dangerous. I'm at the bottom of the ladder. I got an Atlas at the top, so I'm going to go ahead and take him out with a rocket just to clear the path. And look at that. Another one spawns right there. Just like what happened with the Banshee earlier. Similar to that anyways. I killed the Banshee that was chasing me, and she spawned right at the top of the ladder. So anyways, I got myself out of a bad situation there. And I'm continuing on my merry way, rotating around the map here. And I'm going to break down this Banshee, hopefully. Looks like I left her with a couple of bars of armor, so I'm going to have to deal with her here in a little bit because of the pace of the Dragoons are pushing me. So I'm going to finish up the wave here. My next commentary will be on Wave 10. So if you guys want to skip through to that part, if you just want to watch me clean up the wave here, that's fine. But yep, I'm going to see you guys on Wave 10.
That's it!
Enemy is still active. Stay alert.
So I just cleaned up wave 9, and let me tell you what's going through my head right now. I am thinking, gee, I have 2 rockets left. Please don't give me targets. And what do we have but targets? So what I have to do here is I have to somehow get around these enemies and take 2 of them out with my Acolyte and my Hurricane and my Wits. And then I have 2 rockets, 1 for 2 different targets. So this is very tricky what I have to do here. I'm not happy in the least. I'm pretty much thinking that this is going to be a failed attempt. And I'm a little bummed out right now, let me tell you. So right here what I've done is I pull as many enemies as I can to the right side of the map there. And then I'm flanking the enemy, hoping to take down its barriers or shields, in this case, as much as possible. And then I'm hoping that I can just chip away with my Hurricane and my warp and incendiary ammo, and hopefully get a couple fire explosions here and just kind of trying to wear them down. So I've gotten some good licks in. So now I'm going to run up behind all the enemies that have just pushed up past the Atlas, and I'm going to get behind them here and hopefully finish them off. And by the skin of my teeth, I do. So now I need to get 1 more Atlas without rockets, and I have 2 rockets, 1 for each Atlas. So right here I'm kind of in a weird position, so I'm just going to take him out right away. And which is really nice is all the enemies are behind me. I can run a nice little flank on this Atlas here and potentially take him out. But it looks like he's pushed up a little bit far for my liking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull all the enemies past him, and then I'm going to quickly run around the other side of the map and hopefully get a good angle on him. So he's kind of running down my right side here, and I've hung out as long as I feel comfortable. I'm going to hit this ladder here and I'm going to try and get really what it's all about here is getting a flank, separating myself from the enemies and separating him from the other enemies that I need to separate myself from to avoid, so I can actually get good shots on him and be undisturbed. So it looks like I got a good flank going here. He's actually hitting me head on, and I'm just going to close the distance a little bit more here and get those shields down all the way. So it looks like I've got that successful. I got a Banshee hot on my trail though, so I'm just going to try and get in a little tighter here and hopefully get a fire explosion, maybe a biotic explosion. And looks like that worked out really well. Still, this Banshee though is just really pushing me, getting me really close to to death, I guess. So I'm dropping down the ladder here. Like I said, I got to keep myself separated from these other enemies. I got to keep him isolated so I can finish him off, and it looks like I pulled that out of my butt. Anyways, I got 1 more enemy and I got 1 more rocket, and there we go. Happy days. So all I have left to do now is clean up the wave and smooth sailing from there on out. So I'm just going to try to kind of rotate around the map how I've normally been rotating around the map. That's clockwise. And I'm keeping in mind I got 8 enemies to take out. I'm just going to keep on working at them one at a time. It looks like, I'm not sure right there, but it looks like I took the bomber out. Leaves me with 7. I have a good chance here to take out this Banshee here. It doesn't look like I have any enemies that are pushing me. So I'm going to take her out as fast as possible. I broke her barriers down. Now I'm busting out my Hurricane as usual. Like I said, armor, shields and barriers, and phantoms. Another thing to worry about definitely is the Guardians, but that kind of goes in the armor department in my book. But definitely those are the 3 things you really got to worry about. So like I said right there, the Acolyte, that's there for the barriers. So I'm going to bust out my Hurricane, which is there for the armor. And both these Banshees are getting very low here, but I'm getting in a bad situation now. I'm getting pinched here, so I'm going to run past him. Thank goodness I didn't get picked up, because that would have been really depressing getting picked up this far into the match. And what do we have here? And you see how Annihilation Field just really saved my butt there on a couple of occasions. It just gives you just enough shields to make it through. I mean, enough barriers to make it through. I think if I wouldn't have had Annihilation Field, then I would definitely have been down there, and I would have been in the midst of 2 Atlases and 2 Banshees, and potentially a Phantom. So I have this 1 Phantom I picked off right there because she was separated from the pack, and I believe that puts me at 6 enemies, potentially 5. I kind of lost track there. And so I'm just going to basically, I'm improvising here. I'm not really sticking to any rhyme or rhythm. I'm just moving around the map trying to get this cleanup done and taken care of. So I'm pretty sure I have 6 enemies left on the board. I think I killed 1 bomber and 1 phantom. So there's the other phantom, and she's done and over with. That leaves me with 5. I've worn down these banshees really well. As you can see, she has 1 bar of armor once I go through her. Yeah, there, she's done now. That puts me at 4. And here's the bomber. Now I'm at 3. There's the banshee, and I got her, which will put me at 2 once I deal with her, and will leave me with the 2 atlases, which will put me down to 0, which cleans up the wave. So I'm just going to rotate around. I'm going to get back on my normal pattern here of rotating clockwise. Just trying to separate this banshee here from these 2 atlases so I can take care of her undisturbed, which doesn't seem to be a problem because they move fast, right? So banshee's done and over with. A little bit of lag spike. And I just got to clean up these atlases now. There's the Acolyte doing beautiful work on stripping those shields. And I guess I took one of those atlases out somewhere along the line. I thought there was 2 of them. That's really strange. Maybe one went out of bounds or something. Who knows? But I'm taking my time. I don't want to blow this. And there she blows. And I just gotta basically work my extraction now. So I'm gonna stock up on ammo here, and this seems like a good starting point for the extraction. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of pull all the enemies over here, take out as many of them as I can, just to slow them down anyways, and try and pull the bigger enemies away from the LZ, especially the bigger enemies like the atlases and phantoms and banshees. Phantoms not so much, but definitely the banshees and atlases. So it looks like the atlas has jammed up the door there a little bit for me, slowing them down a little bit, which is nice. And I'm just going to keep dropping acolyte shots, trying to stagger the enemies, just try and keep him back here as much as possible. Nice little fire explosion there. I definitely got a good stagger effect from that. Looks like I killed a dragoon with the warp effect from the detonation from that last fire explosion. And I'm hitting the ladder nice and early there, not taking any chances. I'm going to get my ammo restocked here and just keep on popping these acolyte rounds, you know, trying to stun as much as possible, trying to slow them down as much as possible. And as you can see, I got 6 metagels left, 0 rockets, 0 survival ops, and 1 thermal clip. So I didn't need the responder loadout, but definitely dealing with the acid rain, I feel that the extra shield regen definitely helped. I got 18 seconds left. I think I would have liked to be here when there's about 10 seconds left, but it's okay. It's going to get a little hairy here in about 5 seconds, but I'm feeling pretty confident right now. I feel that even if they were to stagger me right now, I think I'd be able to ride the clock out just fine. Oh, there's a little stagger right there. And full extraction, 56:21. I think that's a fairly decent time for a platinum solo. I got actually 8 waves survived without using any equipment. Definitely, I wasn't planning on doing a flawless run on this. It just kind of worked out that way. I try to be as careful as possible, always trying to play as perfect as possible. But no one's perfect. Not me anyways. So thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the solo. I hope my commentary wasn't too redundant for you. And please comment in the comment box below. And thank you again for your subscribes. Thank you again for your views. And until next time, take care.